Buddhist Society, Peaceful Land of Joy. I sat down a little bit early today but I spent a couple of minutes just looking out the window there and noticing how the leaves are turning and, again, the cycles of the seasons go around. Autumn is upon us, and in a couple of weeks when we come here, the place will be not completely bare because we've got a lot of evergreens, but quite bare, getting ready for winter. And so the wheel of time turns, I guess. So my name is Pam, and I'm a student here at the Tibetan Buddhist Society, a long-term student of Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, who is sitting behind me there, keeping an eye on me. It's very nice to have him behind me, supporting my practice and the practice that hopefully I hope you people enjoy with me leading today. So let's start as usual with our general prayers. And for those who have the book, and if not, Venerable Manikan, of course, will put them on the screen. We'll do them in Tibetan and English, starting off with the Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha on page 19 in English. Teacher, Bhagavan, Tathagata, Aha, perfectly pure and complete Buddha, all-knowing, having poise, Sugata, apprehender of the world, navigator of beings to be subdued, incomparable teacher of gods and humans, to the Buddha, the Bhagavan, the glorious conqueror Shakyamuni, we prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. And then the refuge and bodhicitta prayer in Tibetan and English. Sangye chodam saki chodam jantu padudani kyapsuchi dagi jinso ki pesonani drona panchisange drupayo. To the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened, through the merit of my generosity and so on. May I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. To the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened, through the merit of my generosity and so on. May I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. And then a short mandala offering. Saji Bodhin Jujin Metotran Rira This ground, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the 4 continents, adorned with sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered thus, May all beings enjoy such pure lands. Then if we turn over the page to page 21, the seven-limb prayer. I prostrate my three doors with a mind of respect and offer all actually arranged and mentally emanated offerings. I reveal all the downfalls and negativities that I have ever collected and rejoice in the virtues of individuals and superiors. Please remain perfectly abiding until samsara is no longer seen. I request you to turn the vast and profound wheels of Dharma. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. And then turning over the page again to page 23. Prayer of the lineage gurus. Body born from a million magnificent, excellent virtues, speech fulfilling the hopes of infinite beings, a mind that sees all objects of knowledge precisely. I bow my head to the chief among the Shakyas, the supreme sons of the incomparable teacher, carrying the load of all the conqueror's deeds, by their emanations appearing in countless realms. I prostrate to Maitreya and Manchushri. The mother of conquerors is difficult to fathom. The precise thought is in commentaries written by Jambavicta's ornaments, Nagarjuna and Asanga. I prostrate at the feet of those most renowned in the three realms. From these two great chariots come the excellent lineages of the paths of profound view and vast deeds. Their essential points gathered thoroughly in prostration to the Lamb holding this treasury of instruction, giving explanation through compassion, by seeing precisely and completely the essential point of all paths of Sutra and Tantra, holder of the conqueror's entire holy Dharma, prostrations to the glorious Losandraka. I, seeing all the infinite teachings, supreme way of crossing for those entering the journey to liberation, moved by compassion to deeds skilled in method, prostrations to the spiritual masters who make everything clear. And then the Great Treasure of Excellence in English on page 27. I just want to go back for a moment to page 23 and the prayer of the lineage gurus. I was just looking at the first verse of that and how we've been talking about that in previous weeks, and we'll continue on, where in our practice what we're trying to do is use our body, see that first word there, our body, come down the line, our body, our speech and our mind in our practice, and how important it is to use those three aspects. And of course how beautifully it's put in the first verse of the prayer of the lineage gurus. In the first verse, of course, it's talking about Shakyamuni Buddha's body, speech and mind. But as practitioners, that's also what we're trying to cultivate as we practice. So, turning back over again to page 27, the Great Treasury of Excellence, the prayer of the path to enlightenment, composed by the unequalled second Buddha, Jetsun Tsongkhapa. The kind master is the basis of all qualities, and proper reliance is the root of the path. By seeing this excellence and through much striving, bestow blessings to be devoted with great respect. This gentle support of freedom obtained this one time is most difficult to achieve, Knowing its great value gives rise to a mind seizing its excellence constantly, day and night. Bestow blessings to generate this continuum unceasingly. It is like a bubbling water, this constantly moving body and life. Thus remember the swift collapse of death. Beyond death, like body and shadow, white and black karmic results follow after. By gaining firm certainty in this, the mass of faults, subtle and very subtle, are abandoned, and the accomplishment of all virtuous collections completed. Bestow blessings to ever retain conscientiousness. The qualities of samsara are unfit to be trusted. The door to all suffering. Do not be content with these enjoyments. By knowing its defects, bestow blessings to develop a great aspiration for the bliss of liberation. By that pure thought, great conscientiousness is drawn forth, and mindfulness and awareness of the individual liberation, the root of the teachings. Bestow blessings to make this the essential practice. Just as I myself have fallen into samsara's ocean, all living beings as mother are also like that. By seeing the responsibility for the liberation of beings, bestow blessings to be trained in supreme bodhicitta. However, by merely generating the mind, if not acquainted with the three aspects of ethics, enlightenment will not be attained. Seeing this excellence, bestow blessings to train with strong effort in the vows of the conqueror's sons. Pacifying distraction toward perverse objects by way of proper analysis of the perfect meaning. Bestow blessings to swiftly and continuously generate the part related to the union of calm abiding and special insight. Thus becoming a vessel trained in the common paths, enter the Vajrayana, supreme evolution of all vehicles. Bestow blessings to engage the easy path of self, that sacred way of crossing for fortunate beings. The base of practice for the two aspects of attainment is when guarding the pure vows of commitment is found to be genuine and certain. Bestow blessings to protect them even at risk of life. Then by understanding properly the important points, which are the essence of the two stages of the Tantra classes, bestow blessings to practice according to these holy teachings, with continuous effort in the supreme four-session yoga. Like that, may the spiritual friend revealing the gentle path, and the friends of proper practice stand firm. Bestow blessings to quickly pacify the masses of outer and inner hindrances. In all rebirths may never be parted from the perfect gurus and the enjoyment of the glorious Dharma. By utterly completing all qualities, paths and grounds, may I quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara. Thank you. It's really nice to say those prayers and to take our time a bit, and it's sort of I feel I can sometimes go on to automatic pilot and just blah, 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 could be saying anything. It's really nice to pause and think about what the prayers are actually telling us. Like in that last prayer, the first couple of verses of is talking about the small scope, which is the part of the path to enlightenment that we're studying at the moment and will actually finish today. But how beautiful the prayers are that known, I don't know how many, maybe 50 lines, condense the whole path to enlightenment for us. So we know what we're doing now and what it is that we're trying to achieve as we continue along the path from the small scope to the medium scope and then the great scope. So this week we'll continue to learn about karma and its characteristics and the way it influences our lives. So we did some of that last week and a very brief amount the session before. So I thought we'd start today with a meditation. I don't know about you, but I really like to start my practice with meditation because it takes me out of the busyness of the everyday world and helps me get into the right place for my practice. So when we do this meditation practice, I'll lead us into it in a moment. We're going to use our breath, and we're going to use our breath as the link, L-I-N-K, the link. So when we observe our breath, we can use it to enable our minds to move out of the busyness of the outside world and into that inner, beautiful inner world of meditation. And it's really quite amazing because the breath is, so simple in its simplicity. It's a mere in and out of our chest through our nose, however we want to follow it. And it's available to us anytime, anywhere, to use as a beautiful calming, settling meditation, or just an exercise even when we're doing particular things in our lives. And yet using the breath in meditation enables us to enter that expansive serenity of our inner worlds of meditation. So it takes us away from the busyness. It's sort of like, we sit here in the serenity of this beautiful temple, but just up the road there is Mickleham Road, with cars going like this and craziness and people getting agitated and wanting to overtake each other and all that sort of thing, the unfortunate reality of that other world. But in here, we're in the serenity of Geshe-la's wonderful temple. And simply by using our breath in meditation, we get outside, we get away from that outside crazy world and into the beautiful settled world of our inner being. So let's start off this meditation and get ready as usual. First of all, settle your body, particularly the way bottoms settled on your chair or your cushion, because that makes you nice and stable. Then, when you're ready, using your breath as the agent, with 3 deep, slow sighs, let go of the busyness of the outside world. Just when you're ready in your own time. You know when you're ready to start. Don't start before then. Using 3 deep sighs. One sigh. 2 sighs. 3. Leaving the outside world behind for a while, just letting it slide away. Enjoy relaxing your awareness into that spacious world of meditation. Doesn't matter if we're not perfect at this. Just doing the best we can is more than enough. We're all just beginners on this path. We've probably got several lifetimes to get it going well. First awareness is awareness of body. Gently getting ready to use your breath again. In your own time, using the rhythm of your breath. This time using your breath to link your mind with the first awareness. Awareness of body, awareness of your body. One breath. Two breaths. Three breaths. Now, when you are ready, again gently use the rhythm of your breath, this time to link your mind to the second awareness, the awareness of your breath. Nice and slowly at your own pace. One breath. Two breaths. And the third. Quietly observing awareness of the breath wherever you choose. The nostrils, the chest. Now, when you are ready, using the rhythm of your breath again, this time to link your mind with the third awareness, awareness of mind. Gently being with your mind, quietly, just observing. One breath, two breaths. The beautiful expansiveness of mind. Three breaths. Minds can get so cluttered. So many memories, all those experiences, thinkings, a huge pile of to-do things. A whole room of regrets. Endless plans for the future. Each one of these tagged with karma. Past karmas, those of the future, the ones we are generating at this very moment. Sometimes it can seem as though there isn't any room to move. But in the spaciousness of meditation, let's take a break from all this clutter for a while. Aware of the rhythm of your breath again. Then when you are ready, taking your time, at each breath, breathe out all that mind clutter that clings to you everywhere you go. Long, extended out breaths. Feel your mind become open, spacious, free. Ready to explore the Dharma, the teachings of Buddha. Ready to live your life with love and compassion for yourself and all living beings. Focus your mind in this place of clarity, peaceful spaciousness. If your mind strays, just gently bring it back. Don't let the clutter of thinking take this time from you. Focusing your mind in this place of clarity, peaceful spaciousness. Holding your alertness. Don't slide off into dullness. Don't slide out into agitation. Peaceful spaciousness. And when you are ready, gently finish the meditation and open your eyes. Mind's amazing. And 1 minute we're driving cars, walking over to the temple, getting ourselves settled, taking our shoes off, all that sort of stuff. And like that, we can find that beautiful place of peacefulness, of spaciousness. It's there all the time, it just gets cluttered over. I also find it interesting because, we're all sitting here and we're all meditating, but you don't know what's going on in my mind, and I don't know what's going on in your mind. But somehow, the beauty of our minds, we're able to create an experience that makes sense for us. We don't have to have our experience exactly the same as anybody else's experience, of course not. The point is, in meditation, our experience is special for us, and we create our own spaciousness, our own sense of peace, our own sense of well-being that matches us. And so we're quite, even though we're all doing the same thing and we're all trying to fulfill the same teachings, we each do it in our own unique way. So we're, over the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at karma and the complexity of karma. I think I was saying a couple of weeks ago that in Geshe Acharya's Path to Enlightenment book, my beautiful book here, which is the one we, of course, using as our text, if I remember correctly, karma covers over 50 pages. It's the biggest chapter in the whole text. So it shows the importance of it. And there are so many different aspects to karma that we can think about. And we can do it on a quite almost mundane level, what we do, catches us up in the future sort of thing. Or the way we're looking at it, where we're looking at particular characteristics from various perspectives. And we're all unique. I have no idea what you think of these classes. But from the point of view of preparing them, I'm finding it really intriguing just to think about karma in all different ways and the way that it impacts upon my life. And hopefully, as I gradually learn more and more, the way I can control those impacts so that the karma that I'm creating is more helpful for me in this life and also more helpful for me in my future life. So last week, we looked at karma and the implications for our lives and how we can do our best to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Karma, the volitional actions, intentional, physical, verbal and mental actions that determine our experiences in this life and in future lives. The actions that are done with virtuous intentions bring happy results, and the actions motivated by non-virtuous intentions bring unpleasant results. It's so easy to say that, but at first we might be tricked because it's very easy for us to do something that's perhaps not particularly nice and get a short-term gain from it. But of course, in the longer term, all karma is stored on the side of the line that it belongs to, the virtuous side and the non-virtuous side. I'm just trying to think of an example. For example, if I sort of make sure I'm in the front of the queue and get the biggest piece of cake, that might work for me in the short term, but in the longer term, the karma that I've created isn't particularly helpful where I'm thinking of myself, not others and so forth. So in the short term, it pays off for me, but of course in the longer term, it doesn't. So the actions that are done with virtuous intentions bring happy results, and the actions motivated by non-virtuous intentions bring unpleasant results, as I was saying. Karma that can ripen to produce pleasant rebirths in the God realm, demigod realm, and in the human realm that we exist in now, or unpleasant rebirths in the animal realm, hungry ghost realms, and the hell realms. where we are born in this life and in future lives, of course, is determined by our karma and what particular karma we hold that is ripening at a particular time. So this week we'll look at the four general aspects of karma, the 10 specific positive and negative actions, the 4 powers of karma, and how these factors play out in our lives. So I was saying a couple of weeks ago, we've got the 4 of this, the 7 of that, the 10 of something else. So this week as well, we're going to look at things from the way, of course, Dharma is written, collecting them into groups. I'm not sure why that's done, but when we look through the path to enlightenment, everything's collected in groups, in numbers. We've got 7 of this, 4 of that, 16 of something else, the 10 virtues, the 10 non-virtues, those sorts of things. Sometimes I think maybe it's because, when Buddhism was first taught, people weren't literate, so they needed something to grasp hold of the concept because they weren't able to read it in a text like Geshe-la's marvellous text or something like that. And we need some sort of a structure around which to learn things. I don't know, but I find it really helpful to know that when I'm trying to remember something, that I might have got up to number 3 and I know there's 4 of them, so I can just sit and patiently wait and hopefully my mind will remember what the 4th aspect of a particular thing is. So on page 238 of Geshe-la's text, on page 238 of the Foundation of Buddhist Practice, His Holiness the Dalai Lama's text, he says that the main focus for us initial level practitioners, I love the way he puts that, isn't that nice? So call us initial level, I mean, there could be less pleasant ways of putting us beginners basically. For us initial level practitioners is to bring about a series of precious human rebirths. So this is what we're after, and this is what His Holiness is telling us. We need these rebirths so that our Dharma practice can continue into the future. And then His Holiness goes on, but if we're going to be able to do this, we need to understand the causative characteristics of specific karmas, those karmas to avoid and those we can use to produce those helpful rebirths. So what His Holiness is telling us is that it's not good enough, it's not enough to just learn some general aspects of karma. What we need to do is study it more carefully so we know what it is that we're trying to create in our lives and what it is that we're trying to remove from our lives. And the reason that we're doing it, as His Holiness says, is that we're trying to bring about a series of precious human rebirths. And we need these rebirths so that our Dharma practice can continue into the future. If we're born in the animal realm or the hell realm or even the God realms, there isn't any opportunity to practice Dharma and move forward in our lives towards enlightenment. So we can see that having a working knowledge of karma is very important, what we should do and what we need to avoid. When we think about these karmas from the perspective of living our lives with love and caring for others, they can seem pretty obvious. How to be nice, how to be kind to people, how to think of others and so forth. If only it was that easy. The essence of our whole Buddhist practice needs to be specific. It is about learning to produce karmas that help us to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So let's spend some time learning or refreshing our knowledge about karma. There are the 4 general aspects of karma, and they provide us with a framework. These are the relationship between cause and effect and the factors that influence the effects produced. The four general aspects of karma are, the first one, karma is definite, certain. Positive karma will certainly bring about some form of happiness, and negative karma will certainly bring about some form of suffering. All good conditions, wealth, health, beauty, happiness, etc., are only experienced as a result of positive karma as their source, and the opposite is true as well. Usually in writings of Dharma, there's a story told about this to illustrate it. And the story is about the monk Nyempad Sangden, who had an exquisite voice. And when passers-by walked past where he lived, they were enchanted when they heard him chanting prayers. But when they saw his, and this is how it's put, but when they saw his incredibly ugly face, they became sick to their stomachs. Lord Buddha explained that it was because of the result of karma. One time in a previous life, the monk was a labourer when they were building a very large stupa. The work was so hard that he criticised the stupa, but then realising his error in criticising a stupa, he offered a beautiful sounding bell to adorn the top of the stupa. The ripening of this monk's karma is easy to see. So, karma is definite and certain. The second aspect is that karma is expandable. It will always increase. This expansion is due to the energy of karma. Unless an opponent force is applied, karma will always increase. The explanatory story for this is that a huge tree grows just from the smallest acorns. So, you start off with something this big, and you get some, grows into something like the beautiful trees around this property, and that illustrates to us that karma is expandable. It will always increase. So His Holiness says, we must be very careful of being complacent by thinking, oh, this is only a tiny action. I don't need to bother with it. All our actions produce karma, and the karma produced from those actions will always increase. So even the smallest action of negative karma can grow into a big tree. The third general aspect is that actions not done do not bring about results. We will not experience the effect of an action that we haven't done. There is no result without cause. I was just thinking about, I wonder how many times in our text the words cause and effect are written. They're always partnered together. There is a cause, and and from that cause there is an effect. And when there is an effect, it is always because of a cause. They're always together in Dharma writings. So to give you an example, some people put enormous effort into becoming wealthy, but never seem to succeed. This is because they haven't produced the karma to become wealthy. For others, I'm sure you know some people like this, for others, wealth just seems to happen effortlessly because the karma for wealth has been produced. When we look at some people we know, we may think, how come it works so well for them all the time? But the karma doesn't have to have been produced in this life. It may have been produced in previous lives, but that karma is ripening in this life for those people, enabling them to be wealthy in this life. And then the fourth general aspect is that actions done are not wasted. They do not get lost or magically vanish. So, unless a karmic seed is inhibited from ripening, it may take many lifetimes, but one day it will definitely bring about a result. Like I was just saying, for people who are wealthy today who may not be particularly ethical business people, for example, you know, their karma's ripening now, the karma that they've created from previous lifetimes. It is said that during the life of Buddha, there was a monk whose food always turned to poison before he could eat it, to the point that he nearly died of starvation. Buddha explained to him that this was due to an action many lifetimes earlier. His mother of that time died because he refused to provide food for her. So that happened many lifetimes ago, but it ripened in the lifetime of Buddha. The 10 negative and 10 positive actions. There are limitless positive and negative actions of body, speech and mind, but they can all be condensed into the 10 negative actions and their opposites, the 10 positive actions. So let's take a look at these and the karma they generate. The 10 non-virtuous actions are 3 non-virtuous actions of body. Now, I was saying before about body, speech, mind. The 3 non-virtuous actions of body, and these are, to group them, killing, stealing, and unwise or unkind sexual behaviour. The 3 non-virtuous actions of speech are lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle talk. His Holiness clarifies speech non-virtues by saying, when the 4 non-virtuous actions of speech are done by writing, signalling, typing, or nodding the head, they are still considered non-virtues because they involve communication. So even though we may not actually tell a lie, if the expression on our face indicates that, indicates something that is untrue, we are still lying. So it's not only the sound that comes out of our mouth that creates non-virtuous action of speech. We can do it in other ways as well. And finally, the 3 non-virtuous actions of mind, which are covetousness, malice, and wrong view. The corresponding 10 virtuous actions are the reverse of the 10 non-virtuous actions. They involve abandoning the non-virtuous actions. For example, the virtuous action of abandoning killing is the reverse of the non-virtuous action of killing. And you can read further about these virtuous and non-virtuous actions in Geshe's text from pages 340 to 366, which is actually 26 pages, so quite a bit of Geshe's wonderful teachings to us about that particular aspect of the virtuous behaviours and non-virtuous behaviours. When we hear the list of the non-virtuous actions, I guess the undesirability of the actions themselves seems pretty obvious, but it is the karmic implications of these actions that is the important factor. These implications become much clearer when we consider the power of the karma generated. And again, another list, which is great. So we've got 4 aspects to karmic power, and every action is dependent on these. The first one, the first power of karma, is the power according to the object. The higher the object, the more powerful the negative or positive karma that is generated. So when our actions concern objects like Buddhas, gurus, bodhisattvas, or ordained people and the like, we create greater negative or positive karma than when it's about us, everyday living beings or people in other realms such as animals and so forth. For example, and this is the book, this is the example in the book which I find worldly need. For example, it is a greater non-virtue to give a bodhisattva a negative look. I could almost put in the just. It is a greater non-virtue to just give a bodhisattva a negative look than it is to gouge out the eyes of all living beings. So you can see how the importance, it's not the right word, something of the being that we're directing our behaviour towards very much indicates the power of the thing that we are doing. So power according to the subject of our behaviour. Sorry, the power according to the object of our behaviour. They're the object, we're the subject. And so, power according to the subject. The karma generated by the action done by those who have taken ordination vows is greater than those who have not. Similarly, the karma generated by ordained people who refrain from an action is greater than the karma generated by those who have not taken those vows. So when we look at the power according to the subject, we could consider an example such as you create much more positive karma from refraining from killing if you are a monk or a nun than or if you have taken the vow not to kill. So when we're trying to develop our karma or enlarge our karma, I suppose, we can look at how we do it. So if we've taken the 10 bodhisattva vows, we can use those vows to make our karma even larger and so even more important in our life as we try to achieve enlightenment. And then the substance of the action, the third power of karma, the substance of the action is important in determining the amount of karma generated. So, for example, offering Dharma practice is far more powerful than offering money. So the substance of the action, the content of the action, that sort of thing, is far more important in determining the amount of karma generated. And the fourth power of karma is the power of the intention of the action. And that affects the amount of karma generated. So, for example, positive actions motivated by pure love and compassion generate more positive karma than those generated by mundane motivations. So we have the four powers of karma. The power according to the object, the power according to the subject, the substance of the action, and the power according to the intention. So let's take a look at a couple of examples of negative karma and their characteristics and effects so that we can understand this a bit better. And also, as we do this, we'll have a look at the associated opposite positive karma. The first one we could consider is the negative action of stealing. There's 10 of them, but I've deliberately tried to choose ones that may unfortunately appear in our lives some of the time, whether we meant them to or not. Whereas if I'd use something like killing, hopefully that would not be appearing in our lives, but who knows, stealing. So, the negative karma of stealing. When we consider the action of stealing, it is a non-virtuous action of body. We know that the object belongs to another person. We have the intention to take it. Whether our act is that we take it ourselves or we get someone else to take it, it is still stealing. Of course, the weight of stealing from holy beings attracts more negative karma than stealing from a human. So, for example, how terrible. If I took something from the altar, for example, if I stole something from the altar, that would be much greater than stealing a banana from a fruit shop. And the way we complete this negative karma of stealing is that we actually feel and think that the thing is ours now. I have taken this thing, now it belongs to me. That's how we complete the action of stealing. If we take something and then think, oh, geez, I shouldn't have done that, and put it back or give it back or whatever, we certainly collect negative karma from doing that, but it's not a completed action of stealing because we haven't come to that final point of we're thinking that the karma, that the stolen item belongs to us and is ours now. And the effects of stealing are similar to the cause. We experience a lack of wealth and resources, and even when we do acquire things, they are often stolen or lost. So when we create the actions of stealing, we will also experience the actions of stealing. It may not be in this lifetime, it may be in future lifetimes, but it will definitely occur at some stage. So not only do we experience a lack of wealth and resources, we also develop a tendency to steal, and the resultant environmental effect, as it's called, to be reborn in barren places where crops don't grow and businesses fail. So not only does it affect us now, it affects us into the future, us personally, and also the environment around us. So we can see how karma expands as we take our karma into the future. Another example we could consider is harsh words. When we consider the action of harsh words, it is a non-virtuous action of speech. Stealing is a non-virtuous action of mind. This is a non-virtuous action of speech, where the object is generally humans. I think that's what's written in the text about harsh speech, that the object of action is generally humans. Although I have several dogs at home, and I know when they receive harsh speech, they also are affected. So I don't think it's only humans that are affected by harsh speech. I think pets and other animals that are close to us also are affected. The intention of harsh speech includes wanting to criticise, insult, ridicule, angrily blame or humiliate another being in any manner that is hurtful. So we've got this intention of hurting, which is different from, you can see a parent as a little kiddie goes to step off the gutter on a busy road. The parent may raise their voice into quite harsh speech, but they're not doing it to be hurtful. They're actually doing it to try to protect the kiddie. Whereas when we're using harsh speech, we're doing it with the intention of being hurtful. To insult, ridicule, angrily blame or humiliate, to be hurtful in doing that. And the effects of harsh speech are again similar to the cause. So we will experience others being abusive to us and speaking badly about us, even when we are trying to be pleasant. We will have a tendency to be critical and hurtful. So again, our karma expands and we start doing it more often than once every now and then. And then it expands into our environment as well, where we experience the environmental effect of living in an uncomfortable place where there are stinging nettles, sharp rocks and thorns that tear your flesh wherever you move about. I find the examples given in Buddha's teachings, don't necessarily belong to our times, but I think they are so vivid that I find them very helpful to think of them in that concept rather than trying to translate them into the current times. His Holiness says that when we relinquish harsh speech, we adopt the path of constructive actions. I really like that, the path of constructive actions, by having soft, gentle, pleasing speech and praising others. We are pleasant to hear, endearing, heartwarming, courteous and agreeable. We are polite and use speech to make others happy and relaxed. And then the third one I wanted to look at is malice. And malice is a non-virtuous action of mind. So we've had one of body, one of speech, now we're doing one of mind. Malice is a non-virtuous action of mind toward another living being where we want to make them suffer. Again, of course, the karmic implications are multiplied if this malicious action of mind is towards a holy being or the Sangha. The effects of malice is that we experience unfounded fear and we panic easily. So again, we don't get away with these actions scot-free. They affect us both in this life and in our future lives. And then when we relinquish malice, we adopt the path of constructive actions and rejoice in our thoughts and intentions, such as we have lovely thoughts and intentions such as, may these beings be free from anxiety, or we may think, may they be untroubled, and may they live happily. And so, just in case you might be tempted in other ways by negative actions, here are a few more things to remember. We still create the karma whether we do the actions ourselves or we ask someone else to do them. Rejoicing at the harmful actions done by others is tantamount to doing them ourselves. We can accumulate multiple karmas, positive and negative, in a single action. For example, we could try to have a sexual relationship with a married person by untruthfully telling them that their partner no longer loves them. So, you can hear various aspects of behaviour that we shouldn't do coming up in that example. We're creating multiple karmas from it. The motivation is important. For example, we could hide someone's car keys to be nasty. On the other hand, we may hide them to stop them driving after they have been drinking alcohol. And finally, we can generate positive and negative karmas at the same time. For example, we may chat with someone to be friendly with them, but at the same time, we may ask them to do something that is non-virtuous. So we've coupled two sorts of karma, positive and negative karma, in the same action. But also more optimistically, as His Holiness points out, don't forget that when we consciously restrain from a negative action, relinquish it, and then that in itself is a virtuous karma. So when we think of doing something like telling a lie or stealing something or whatever, when we consciously restrain from that, we've earned virtuous karma just in the action of not doing. We adopt the path of constructive actions, and doing this generate resultant positive karma. So, for example, when we relinquish stealing, we are creating virtuous karma, and this virtuous karma facilitates us to experience abundant wealth. So not only do we not do the negative karma, but we also get the result of doing the positive karma, such as abundant wealth. As you can see, the teachings about karma are very extensive. So I'll quickly finish with a couple more aspects that I actually found quite intriguing. And you can read more in Geshe-la's entire chapter from pages 321 to 376 in his text. So last week, we were looking at what we are trying to achieve in this life so that we can have a fortunate rebirth in our next life. And the idea of that fortunate rebirth is so that we can make, as Buddhists, the idea of that fortunate rebirth is so that we can make progress along the path towards enlightenment, not just to enjoy the good conditions of the next life. So we can see the importance of throwing karmas, those karmas that throw our next rebirth, and completing karmas that determine the circumstances that life that we are thrown into. There are certain karmas and uncertain karmas. Certain karmas are those where actions has all the four complete factors. There is the object of the action, the intention to do it, the actual action itself, and the outcome, as I was saying before. And finally, we note that a complete positive karma will certainly produce a pleasant karmic result, and a complete negative karma will definitely produce an unpleasant karmic result unless it is purified. So when I read that in the text when I was preparing this, I thought, isn't purified a lovely word? It offers such hope, and such optimism in our lives. We can bumble around doing all these terrible things, but we have got a chance and an opportunity and a way of doing something about them. So, it's sort of like, it gives us an opportunity to clean up the karmic messes. I don't know about you, but I certainly create, despite my best efforts in my day-to-day life. So I thought we could use our last meditation today to experience one of the methods of purifications, one of the lovely ways we can, as soon as we recognise that we're creating negative karmas, we can pause and do something about it. But just before we do that, our final meditation, let's follow a customary format by sitting for a moment and enjoying another of Thich Nhat Hanh's calligraphy. If you could give us a hand, please, Monica. And I love this one because Thich Nhat Hanh was such a optimistic, encouraging, embracing being. And this lovely piece of calligraphy says, breathe, it'll be okay. And I think that's just beautiful. So in thinking about breathe, it'll be okay, I want to say that the purpose of this meditation we're going to do now is to learn about the process of purification, and it's to enjoy the opportunity to help ourselves. It isn't to beat ourselves up by thinking about the worst thing we have ever done, nothing at all like that. So getting yourself ready to meditate, keeping in your mind, breathe, it'll be okay. When you're ready, taking a few moments to use those 3 measured breaths to settle in your own time. Here we go. Recall a time recently when your actions of body, speech or mind have created a negative karma for you. Don't make your example too big, too horrendous, too hard. The idea of this meditation is to learn the process. Could be something like telling a minor lie or having an unkind thought, something like that. What we're going to do is use the 4 opponent powers to purify the negative karma that we have created in whatever action you're thinking about. four opponent powers are the power of the object, the power of regret, the power of the opponent force, and the power of commitment. The first opponent power is the power of the object. When we use the power of the object for our purification, usually our object is the three jewels. We have done something that is not correct with respect to them. For example, we may have created negative karma by ignoring an aspect of Dharma, by gossiping just to pass the time. Maybe telling a lie, something like that. Going for refuge in the three jewels and generating bodhicitta will help to purify the negative karma of the object that you are thinking about. So using the first opponent power, the power of the object, we can think, as I reflect on the impact of my unwise action, may my commitment to the three jewels increase. For the benefit of all sentient beings, may I achieve enlightenment. The second opponent power is the power of regret. In the power of regret, we reflect on our non-virtues and the negative actions we have done. Then we develop strong regret by recognizing the suffering of our negative karma has caused, both for ourselves and for other sentient beings. This suffering may be in the past, may be now, or in the future. Regret purifies both negative karma and the tendency to create negative karma. Its strength depends on how clearly and extensively we can see the disadvantages of our actions. With the power of regret, we can think, I reflect that I truly regret having done this unwise thing. It has created negative karma for myself and possibly for others. Third opponent power is the power of opponent force. Opponent force is when we do a virtuous positive action as an antidote to the action we are purifying. A virtuous action can be any action. It doesn't have to be the opposite of what we have done. So, for example, we don't have to suddenly be nice to someone when we have been mean to them. Indeed, quite often this can be misinterpreted and cause further suffering for the person and ourselves. Some common opponent forces we could use are things like prostrations, saying mantras or prayers, or walking around the temple with the specific intent of purifying a negative action. Doing an opponent force with wisdom and bodhicitta motivation makes the purification more powerful for the benefit of all sentient beings. Please notice that quite often others are not aware that we are doing this purification process, and that purification is not done as a punishment. What we are doing is fixing up, purifying our karmic imprints as best we can. We can think, I commit that my power of the opponent force is that I shall walk around the temple 3 times. And as I do this, I will think about Buddha's teaching on non-virtuous and virtuous actions of body, speech and mind. And as I go, I shall think more carefully about how I can live my life ethically. The final power is the commitment, the promise not to do it again for a certain period, probably. If it is possible, we can commit to abandon the action forever. But we need to be realistic in this commitment. It would be nice if we could abandon a negative action forever, but that may be highly unlikely. For me, anyway. Just think how good we are at sticking to a diet, and we realise how fallible and wobbly our commitments can be. The idea is to make a realistic commitment, one that we can complete successfully. The last thing we need to do is create an additional negative karma because we have failed our commitment. So, we might decide not to gossip for 4 hours, or not to have a covetous mind for 10 minutes. This seems such a short period of time, but if we're out shopping with our friends, for example, or standing in a beautiful car shop, covetousness is highly likely to arise. So setting limits that we know we can keep are far more important than pushing ourselves too far and not being able to succeed in our commitment. With the power of commitment, we can think, in acknowledging that I have created negative karma in my actions of body, speech or mind, I sincerely make the commitment that I shall not do that action again for an hour, a day, or whatever period of time you know you can complete. So as we finish the meditation, recall the 4 opponent powers of your purification practice. The power of the object, the power of regret, the power of the opponent force, and the power of commitment. Of course, at this stage, our purification efforts may not be perfect. We are all works in progress. But I think until we hear these teachings, we get through the first two, the power of the object and the power of regret, and we just sit there stuck with regret. But then when we hear the following two, the power of the opponent force and the power of commitment, we can actually feel that we can do something about the mistakes that we make, rather than sitting in the painfulness of regret alone. So coming back to our beautiful calligraphy by Thich Nhat Hanh, it says, breathe, it'll be okay. Our actions have happened as they have happened. We have done our best to counteract the effects of our behaviour on our karma. We have applied the four opponent powers of our purification practice as well as we can. So now it is finished. It is as it is. We just finished the meditation. I really like those aspects that, you know, of course we're going to make mistakes, but we can do something about them. And when we do look at opponent powers and we do something about it as best as we can, then it is finished. You know, we don't have to carry it around with us anymore. So well done today, people. Let's do our dedication. We've considered quite a bit about what we are doing in our lives, how karmas play out, and the things we could improve upon. It has been great to finish by learning a practical way to do something about them. Knowing that we have done our best, we dedicate and celebrate the merit of our purification purification meditation and the session today with love and compassion for ourselves and for all sentient beings. So as we dedicate, let's take a moment to quietly reflect on some of the questions that His Holiness poses to us. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, at this very moment, at this very moment, you are creating the causes for what you will become and the events you will experience. What kind of future do you want for yourself? During this session that we're just completing, what actions have you been engaged in to bring about that future? Then His Holiness requests us to make a determination to set healthy, meaningful goals and to act in an ethical and kind manner in order to attain them. So, guess what, people? We've actually finished Geshe-la's marvellous chapter on karma. We've also finished the part of the small scope. So we finished the chapter on karma, and we have also finished the path of the small scope, where we developed the aspiration for benefiting our future lives by escaping the 3 lower realms and being reborn in the higher realms. And that's what the small scope focuses on. So next term starts at, this class starts at 4 p.m. on Sunday the 1st of May. I'm looking at Anna. Yes, Anna's nodding. So next term starts at 4 p.m. on Sunday the 1st of May, and we shall commence our study and practice of the path of the medium scope. Okay, we've just finished the small scope. And in the medium scope, we practice to attain liberation. So we're moving on in this, if I could say, the sophistication of our practice. So to attain liberation, a state beyond both the high and lower realms of cyclic existence. So we're looking, in the medium scope, we're looking at what can we do in our lives now to get ourselves out of this round and round thing that we are going through now of cyclic existence. We learn about the Four Noble Truths and the 12 dependent links and so forth that help us to do that and give us the context in which to do it. And if anyone wants to read ahead at all, in Geshe-la's text, the section commences on page 379. And just to mention again, as I did last week, you can see the big smile on my face, to know we've got that wonderful special treat coming up, which is the Easter retreat, which starts at 7 a.m. on Friday the 15th of April to after lunch on Monday the 18th of April. And the retreat information is available online. I believe you can do it online, attend daily, or there is a wonderful opportunity to live in, which hasn't been available for several years, as we all know. And if you check out the website and Facebook for further information and registration. So we're running a little bit late, I apologise, but if we could do, do the final prayers in our book, and we'll do them both in English just because of the time factor. One moment, please, on page 31 of our prayer book. The final prayer of the graduated path. By the 2 collections' vastest space, amassed with effort for a long time, may I become a chief of conquerors, a guide for all beings whose mind's eye is blinded by ignorance. Also, in all lives, while not yet come to that, may Manchushri favour me with his compassion, finding the supreme path complete with all the stages of the teachings. May I please the conquerors by practising well. By my precise understanding of the essential points of the path, with skillful means drawn along by strong compassion, and by dispelling the mental darkness of beings, may I uphold the conqueror's teaching for a long time. Also, where the supreme precious teachings have not spread, also where it has spread but become degenerate, with a mind deeply moved by great compassion, may I make clear this treasure of benefit and bliss. The stages of the path excellently established by the marvellous deeds of the conquerors and their children, give glory to the minds of those aspiring for liberation. May the conqueror's deeds be long preserved. May all humans and non-humans who remove the obstructions and establish conditions favourable to cultivating the excellent path never be parted for all of their lifetimes from the purest of paths which the Buddhas have praised. When someone makes effort to practice properly the 10 points of conduct of the Supreme Vehicle, may they always be assisted by the mighty protectors, and may oceans of good fortune spread out, reaching all. And in the general dedication, on page 34 in English, please. By this virtue may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit and attain the two holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. Any discussion, questions, comments? Yes?
You said no action will not result in.
Pardon?
I think you said that no action will not result in karma. So does it mean that thinking is defined as an action? So if I think badly about a person,
yes,
that will
body, speech, and mind. Yeah.
That will generate karma.
Yeah. So if I sit there thinking I really don't like you, or aren't you a wonderful person, both of those are generating the appropriate karma. Yeah. And it's really hard because we can control our bodies, and most of the time we can keep our mouth shut, sort of thing, control our speech. But it's much more challenging, I find, to control my mind. Not only is it crazy, but it isn't always pleasant either.
So action, I find it to nail it. I thought action was just physical action. It's also
no, yes, body, speech, and mind. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that's a bit of bad news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Right, Mum? Oh, good. Thank you, everyone. Tea and coffee, of course. I keep on forgetting to mention. People at home, please put on your headphones.